Hello and welcome to the FSF PopCast Live Edition. Well, hello and welcome, kids and cadets. Welcome to the FSF PopCast and whatever it is that Kathleen's holding up there on the screen. This is the show. Nice.
We had no guest, so now we have a guest.
Well, there is that. So this is the show where we learn that if the mushrooms ever wear off, that we're not really space smugglers. We're just, or with a Wookiee, we're just some dude with a dog.
Don't they make that into a movie?
I think they did. Yeah.
Something like Call of the Wild.
Something like that. It was, there was a movie that Harrison Ford did with like a
dog,
a giant Saint Bernard. Yeah. It was his miniature Wookiee, his baby Wookiee. Hello, John Walls. Hello.
And if you're not a dude with a dog, then you're probably a dude with a barf.
He could be a barf. Barf, barf.
Or a dudette with a mood dragon.
Well, I mean, you got to have the mood dragon.
You know, it's actually ridiculously difficult to flip between them, though, between the rainbows and the dark for some stinking reason. You would think that just pulling its guts out would be a lot easier. But it's not.
I will have to say, I don't think that that's a topic that's ever come up on our show before. It would be easier to just pull the guts out.
You would think it would be easier to pull its guts out, but it's not.
New things coming up all the time.
Invert
no, this one doesn't just flip like the octopus does. Like the octopus one flips way easier. This one you have to like scoop and.
It's like you're putting on pantyhose or something.
It is almost as difficult. It's like trying to put tights on a toddler. There we go.
Well, there's that.
Stupid nerd.
Well, we were supposed to have a guest tonight. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it. Gotham Night Comics were going to stop by, and we were going to talk to them about their awesome comic shop in Livonia, Michigan. So you guys are definitely still going to want to check them out. Go check out Gotham Night Comics. You can find them on Facebook, and if you just do a simple Google search, you can track them down. Their owner, Fergel Amayo, was not able to be here tonight, so but maybe we can try and get him on another time. But we still have plenty of things to talk about, plenty of things to nerd out about. But before we get into any of that kind of stuff, I'm sure we have other things that we need to. John raises a good point here.
I wasn't going to mention it, but.
Oh, no. You threw it on the table. This gets mentioned.
It's the same that John knows about putting on tights, John, I'm sure. Robin Hood. Ew, those are fishnets. That's different.
It is.
Oh,
that is a whole different challenge because you have to make sure your toes don't. Yeah.
It's one of those things where we're coming across life hacks. Like one of those type of videos. So you saw like a whole bunch of things.
He's watched Princess Diaries, okay, John?
And I have seen Princess Diaries. And one of them was on how to put on tights or pantyhose. So it's just like, just scrunch it up and then just...
I got nothing to add to this. I want to.
Really hard for me because I'm hearing this and then I'm hearing the cackling.
I just because here's my problem is is that now all I can picture is Nick sitting like, well, mom and dad are gone. I guess some pantyhose here. I can roll them out and just sitting there with a beer in the living room watching Transformers and being like, all right, pantyhose.
Hey, you can find them at for $1. So like maybe even 25 cents and a little
yeah, but those rip really easily.
Well, yeah, but
if you put them on right, you don't have an issue.
That's true.
Well, yeah, if he files down his Wolverine claws on his toes, then he'll be all right.
And I do love that my husband will admit that Princess Diaries is right up there with Mean Girls, and Mean Girls is one of his favorite movies ever.
They're both great movies. Well, I'm not such a big fan of Princess Diaries, but Mean Girls does make me laugh out loud. It's Tina Fey, and if you don't like Tina Fey, we have issues.
Right. But the scene in Princess Diaries when she's trying to put on pantyhose in the back of the limo going up and down the hills of San Francisco. It's just...
The only scene that really makes me laugh out loud in Princess Diaries is when the pretty boy gets nailed in the nuts playing third base. Laugh
Yes.
every time.
Yes.
So, yes, we have. This kind of ties into his geisha
I was
side.
just gonna say we're back to the game.
Anyway, I think we have a video that we've been
We have
avoiding to play for.
sponsors.
I just want to say that whole new aspect is just called knowledgeable.
We're just learning more about Nick,
The knowledge level has gone up. That's all.
whether or not we wanted to.
And before we get even further off the rails into tonight's show, we need to say our thanks to our show partner, Level Up Sabers.
You know, I am
And-
still saying, guys, we need to make sure we've just got a hover train so we don't have to worry about rails. But anyway, hold on. Beautiful nerd footage. So you guys have all been here before. As soon as Tim stopped playing with his toy,
That's probably not going to happen, but lightsaber.
it'll be in the show notes and comment section below.
All right, yeah, that's in there.
Whenever
That's
he gets around to, actually doing his job.
it's in there. I put that in first, and then I played with the toy, and then I came back and put it on the screen. And the only thing I've sad about that whole geisha thing is that I apparently deleted the video, and that makes me very, very sad.
Did you delete it or did it self-destruct?
No, I'm pretty sure I deleted it because I never thought, and I should have known better, but I don't think I ever thought that there would be a time where I'd be like, you know what? This is going to be a usable thing in the future.
You know, I could tell you how to find it again.
But then he'd have to kill you.
I think I
believe
even deleted the download.
Right, but I believe I sent it through a Facebook chat.
No, I think you actually sent it through TikTok. I'll check later. It'll be fun. Anyway,
Either way, there will
it'll be funsies.
It's the internet. You can't get rid of stuff.
It's out there somewhere. I just have to find it. And tonight, yes, it is the weirdest show on the internet. Thank you for commenting from your own seat. Okay, and
I'm watching it. I'm supporting the show, Tim.
we're supporting the show by doing our own thing on the show.
What from me? I don't watch the show, I get in trouble. I watch the show, I get in trouble. Gosh.
Well, it's one of those things. So anyway, if you're enjoying this train wreck and you think, golly, wouldn't it be great if I could support these guys and make sure that they can afford to continue to give me more enjoyable train wrecks in the future? Well, you're just in luck because you can. Here's a great opportunity for you guys to be able to buy us a coffee, help us afford to create this, whatever this is right here on these live shows. I like to think that our recorded interviews are a little more, on the level and somewhat pseudo professional, but then we have these that are just, well, they're fun, they're weird, and choo-choo. Yes. So John says, I like you weirdos. You make me feel like a perfectly normal human. Then that's I think probably a bigger issue, but that's a whole nother thing. So, but anyway, yeah, go check out Level Up Sabers. You guys are going to want to, do that. Also check us out and give us an opportunity for, to buy us a coffee. Your support helps our show to continue to grow. And if you haven't done already, please do what the banner says down below. Remember to click like and subscribe on this video. If you haven't subscribed already, your subscription means an absolute ton. We're very excited. We crossed the 600 threshold on YouTube just the other day. We would love to be able to see that continue into the very near future. There's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about here in just a moment. I'm working on getting this in here. So I'm a little delayed on my what I got going on here. But one of the guys that's been very helpful to us on the show, his name is Ben Riley. Now you know Ben from having been on our monthly Star Wars RPG. He's been on our live show. I think he's got like 13 credits listed for our show altogether. He's been on a bunch of the live shows with us. He's got a ton of Star Wars knowledge, and he's just a really cool guy and a lot of fun to do things with. And but Ben, his wife, and his dog have gone through a very rough time as of late. And one of the things that we're trying to do is help them because they're losing their home and they need our help. And being that they are part of our FSF family, they are part of the Funny Science Fiction family, we want to help them and give them what they need. If we can at all make that happen. If there's a way that you can help them, and there is, trust me, because we're going to show it to you here in just a second. Ben needs our help. His wife needs our help. His family needs our help. Please watch the following video.
Hi, everybody. So, a thing I've been afraid of has finally happened. We are being kicked out. We have till at least the middle of next month, is what they told us. They might be nice and let us stay to the end of November, but I don't know. Either way, we are pretty much dead broke and can't afford to go anywhere else. We've looked for apartments in our area, and they do not allow couples or pets. In most cases, and in other cases, they're just double what we're paying now. So I set up a GoFundMe. It is in my bio. Please check it out. Anything and everything helps. So, thank you, and if people can share, comment, spread this around, we could really use the help. Thanks.
So it's kind of a tough watch because he's been such a good friend of the show and become one of the members of our show, really, by extension, because of how much he's been here, not only as a guest host, and a member of our Star Wars RPG. So I do have the GoFundMe up on the screen. It's in the comments. I'm actually going to put a link for it also down in the show notes. So when this show is all done, you guys can go back and you look at it. You read through the show notes at the bottom. You'll find the GoFundMe link there. Please, even if you can only give $1, if you can give $5, it all adds up. And anything that we can do right now to help out Ben and his family, well, that's what we need to do, because we need to either help get them into some place to live that's another apartment or an RV or somewhere that's safe and warm as the winter months come on. So please give what you can, share the GoFundMe page, and help out our buddy Ben and his family.
Oh, no, I'm sad.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's turn those frowns upside down. Let's make them a little smile out of them.
I feel like we need to play that clip of the Monty Python thing where they're like, "All in other news," and then like big explosions and.
Well, I don't have that one handy nearby anywhere, but I do have this, and this always makes me happy. Kenobi! I mean, I never, Sam Witwer yelling Kenobi never gets old for me, and I'll be happy with that every single time. But all right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that we have ready to go tonight. One of the things before we jump into any of the topics, I know we're kind of stalling and delaying getting into the topics here tonight, but I have one little shout out I want to do for our buddies over at the Scarif podcast, and they are part of the Red 5 network. So one of the cool things that they did is the other night, Ro was on our show a week or so ago, and he sent me some stickers, and I like stickers. So I've got this one right here, the Scarif podcast sticker. I've got this one here, Scarif podcast sticker. I've got this one here, the Scarif podcast sticker. He sent me buttons for the let's do it this way. There we go. Scarif podcast. He sent me 2 little buttons like that. and he sent me some Red 5 Network stickers, which is really cool. Sent me a couple of those. And there's a couple podcasts that I hadn't heard of yet, and I'm going to be checking these ones out pretty soon. So I hope I pronounce this properly. The Sickle Bar Cantina, the Padawan Report.
This is a special Padawan report.
Exactly. I hope they say something like that on there. That'd be really cool. The Science Fictionary Podcast.
Today, Anakin comes in.
I don't like sand. The Escape Pod and 97 Bravo. So just some really cool things. We appreciate Rose sending those to us. Well, to me. These guys didn't get any. I got them.
Yeah, we get nothing.
You got nothing, but I might share them later. You never know. But yeah, thank you to Ro, thank you to the Red 5 Network, and thank you to the other co-hosts of the Scarif podcast for sharing those. That was really very cool. I do appreciate that. So, anyway, Nick, did you have something you were wanting to talk about?
Oh, I was just kind of saying in that our side chat there of maybe we could share some memes from our Facebook page that we have found pretty funny recently.
Oh, I'd have to do some searching on that, but
I know. But
had you thought about that about 2 hours ago, that'd have been very helpful.
So, one of our topics for tonight that I am not going in the actual order of the topics because
you following instructions and orders never.
Anywho, so we wanted to talk about something that we have recently discovered. So not necessarily that it's new, but it's new to us. And
correct.
Tim,
yes.
I love Bear in the Big Blue House.
Isn't it a great show?
It's so cute.
It's so much fun. It is adorable. All the different cast members and things in this show. My kids used to watch that every day. We bought it on back in the day when there was such a thing called VHS, and you had to put them in the VCR. That's a lot of initials. I understand, but yeah, we used to buy those on video cassette and play them all the time, and we had just an absolute ton of fun with them. And the kids really, really enjoyed them. And I was really excited for them to come back to, and now they're on Disney Plus. And so I was really excited for them to come back. And I actually find myself just kind of putting them on in the background. And
even though your youngest is 15.
Yes.
Don't judge me.
I totally get it. No, like there have been a couple of days where Honor has been at school that I'm like, I could watch Bluey.
Right.
I don't need to, but I could. I'm okay with watching Bluey. But no, so it started, Bear in the Big Blue House started in 97. So I was 5 when it started, and I don't think we had cable at that point. So I wasn't familiar with it. I mean, I knew of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was aware of its existence, but watching it as an adult and watching my daughter fall in love with it is fantastic. And
right.
The Tutter, the mouse. I love Tutter the mouse.
Tutter's a trip.
I understand Tutter.
Yeah. My favorite episode, without question, is season 2, episode 36. We all have to poop sometime.
And it's
just when Bear looks at the camera and says, "It's okay, Tutter. We all have to poop sometime." I lose it every single time. I think it's hysterical. Yeah, I love how Bear sniffs at the camera. I'm glad that Honor is loving it. That makes me happy.
It was so funny. We were watching it last night, and Bear started doing and John's like, "Oh, it's me he smells," and she's like, "Nuh-uh, he's smelling me. I'm closer." I'm like,
and no, John, no.
But
still no. Anyway,
it's funny is I actually saw a TikTok the other day about wow, your kids are so smart. You must never watch any screen time. It's like, sure, as Blippi and Miss Rachel who've taught my children everything.
This is one I actually had saved to my desktop.
That's fantastic. My mom's profile picture on her Disney account is Edna mode
Nice.
because my mom looks so much like her.
That's fantastic.
And she's also a fantastic seamstress.
Oh, there you go.
And she's tiny.
That's great.
Oh, goodness.
So another thing that I found recently was a board game called Arc Nova. Basically, in this board game, what you're doing is you are building yourself a zoo. If you've played Wingspan and if you've played Terraforming Mars, it's as if those two had a baby and you build your own zoo.
I didn't know board games could have babies.
When you smash two things together like that, yeah. So this is Arc Nova, as you can see here on Board Game Geek. That is not at all what I was going for.
And that,
But it's what you said.
kids, is how board games are made.
When one board game loves another board game very much, they hug in a very special way. Oh wait, but does the box make a funny sound? But like, no, legitimately, you guys know the funny board game box farting sound.
Yeah, it's like the
That
kind of thing.
Oh, is that what happens when baby board games are made?
Oh. And there
I have to
goes
take
our
us-
ratings.
I think I have to take us all off screen at this point.
Friends, it was less
So
than
this
4
game is highly rated on Board Game Geek. It is really good for 2 players, and we played it with 4 players the other night. It has some interesting mechanics I've not seen used in board games before. And one of the mechanics is you have different actions on your player board. It's already won awards, and it's only been out since 2021.
It's won a bunch of awards, looks like.
Yeah, so it has quickly become one of my favorite games. They've already got an expansion scheduled for next year, and I'm like, can it get here any quicker?
Okay.
But the other interesting thing is you have 2 things that you're working on, which is conservation and the appeal of your zoo. And so as you collect your animals, you get more appeal or conservation. And when those 2 objects scores meet, that is what triggers the end of the game. And it is whoever can have the most positive difference between the 2. So that was a new one that I found this recently and have had a lot of fun with it. So
Okay. So, as many people may not know that, although they picked on me a little bit about it the last couple weeks, I really hadn't watched Firefly.
you still
I'd
have to watch Serenity, right?
I still haven't watched Serenity yet, but I did watch all of Firefly. That's adorable. But I hadn't watched it because I didn't understand the premise of the show. I got lost very early on in the first episode. I didn't understand why they were in space, but talking an old-timey Western and all these different... It was very confusing to me, and so I gave up on it. Anyway, I powered through the first episode, and getting into the second episode, with the introduction of the second episode, it made a whole lot more sense to me, and I very much enjoyed all the episodes until the show came to an abrupt end, and then I was sad and rocking back and forth on the floor trying to figure out where my Firefly had gone.
And you haven't watched Serenity yet, it just gets worse.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of holding off. I think I'm still getting over the disappointment of nothing after, I think it's episode 14, going, where's the rest of this? Because it's such an abrupt end that there's nothing really there.
So this is one of the only TV series that got a movie to help wrap things up.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it better, though.
Shh.
Well, they had to do something. There was a lot of people that were ticked off. So what I did to kind of help myself as well is because here's another show that I didn't watch a whole lot of. I watched a couple episodes here and there, but I didn't really watch it in chronological order or anything like that. What's this show? Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic show.
It's a fantastic show. I think I'm in season. I'm about halfway through season 5 right now. But I had like I said, I watched a couple episodes here, a couple episodes there, but never really in succession. I think there was always something else on the same night and time as when Castle came out originally, and this was before I had DVR or anything like that. So I was like, well, it's lost to, the timescapes, and then I just kind of forgot about it. But in the last couple weeks, I started watching it again because I needed more of my Nathan Fillion fix, and I was trying to figure out where to get it from, and what thing I wanted to, because I'd been playing a little bit of Destiny 2, which if you play that video game, he is the voice of Cade 6 in that, and it always saddens me when I play a mission on Destiny 2 that Nathan voiced for Cade 6 because they dirty buggers killed off Cade 6, and I'm just like, okay. And honestly, John, it's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind that at all. I would love to watch it. I need to watch that.
If I can do that though,
We should do like a watch party of it and sit down and watch it all together.
Let's do it right now. Give me watch permissions.
I don't have that kind of time tonight, but anyway, that's my new thing right now. Castle. I finally got to the point where Beckett and Castle finally got together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, nothing like stringing that one out for 4.5 seasons, jerks. So
it's very similar to when Brennan and Booth finally get together in Bones, and you're like, oh my gosh,
took you freaking long enough. So yeah, it's the same thing. So but I've really been enjoying that, and after this I'll probably go on to The Rookie, because
that's a good show too.
And again, that's another show where I've watched an episode here or there, but I haven't watched everything in chronology. And I don't typically watch TV when it comes out. I typically watch TV a couple years on down the road, where I can sit down and watch it all, watch a couple episodes here, like back to back, and, kind of continue on that way. So.
I actually also, on the TV shows that have been, I think, over for a while, or at least multiple seasons in, I actually have watched some of that, John. I had a friend last week ask me to watch The Blacklist.
Do what a man's got to do. Sorry.
It's all right. So this friend of mine's like, you've never watched The Blacklist? I'm like, no. The Blacklist? Yeah. I always figured typical crime drama, same old. No.
That's the one with James Spader in it, right?
Yes, and I love it. I'm only like 3 episodes in. But,
okay, that's another show where I've only watched a couple episodes here or there, but haven't really tied down the whole thing.
Like, it is legitimately worth it just for his character, which is great because he's like the main character. But I was so impressed with it because, I mean, like, your first episode, you feel like it is your stereotypical crime drama. You're expecting the explosion at 30 minutes in, like happens with Burn Notice in every single episode of Burn Notice.
Right.
It's that same like sort of feeling, and then there's this massive twist, and you're like, wait, excuse me?
Right.
First episode? Good.
Speaking of TV shows, there was another show that has recently launched come Friday on Amazon.
Yeah.
I was like, you just kind of stopped. I thought you were going on with that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I didn't know where to go with that, and it just kind of my train derailed.
The sentence got away from you.
He's like, the new show started on Friday on Amazon. Ooh, shiny.
I've got a lovely bunch of random thoughts. There's a standing in a row.
Most of what James Spader does, I really kind of enjoy. He has this ability to really play the pompous person very, very well.
Mm-hmm. And his character on The Blacklist is very he's just slimy, but
right.
Like you kind of want to trust him, but you also know you shouldn't trust him.
Well, and I think he was the perfect choice for the voice of Ultron as well.
Yes.
Because he has that he has the voice where he can do it, where it's the air of superiority.
The general disdain for the human race.
Exactly. Disdain for everyone and everything. And
understand
I'm so much better than you. And I'm this and I'm that. He can also play very down to earth characters, as he proved in Stargate. Okay. But he has that ability to go up there and play just these jerks who you just want to clock. Right.
Robert California.
Yeah. That's just funny.
Oh, Tim, John has not had a chance to tell you this, so I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
John can't tell you. So we started our annual rewatch of The Office, and we start it, we fall asleep during it, we wake up, we're like, oh, hey, I like this episode.
Yeah,
watch 20 minutes of it and go back to sleep. He woke up at the beginning of Scott's Tots and did the no, going back to sleep.
And skip.
I did not realize that James Spader was Daniel Jackson in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one of his younger roles.
I was always like, whatever happened to that guy?
Nice. All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that's been airing on Amazon, since that's been kind of brought up. We'll get to the Peripheral in just a moment, but let's first talk about Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, and what's been going on there now that we've reached the conclusion of season 1. Happy, sad, disappointed, mad? What are your thoughts?
I think I'm like 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes behind still, because I got to the point where I'm like, I don't know.
They did something and I did not see it coming.
And I'm still struggling with it's because they don't have access to some stuff. They're changing things from the way that they're supposed to be so that they don't get sued. And it's confusing.
But
see, and I can see why that'd be a problem for people who are used to the earlier stuff or have read through the Silmarillion, or however the heck you say that. Silmarillion, is that how you say it? How do you say that? You're like, sure, yeah, go with that.
just like any other
okay.
Lord of the Rings name.
Oh, wait, is that one of the lead-lined ones?
I don't know. That's one of the earlier, like the.
Is it one of the lead ones?
Who are you talking to?
You with your Disney cup. Is it one of the ones?
Yeah,
that
that's probably his cancer cups. Yeah, that's a cancer cup. Yeah. So
that's a Fantasia cup, so it's probably one of the lead ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
But anyway, but I understand that they had to change a few things and all that. But for somebody who hasn't read that book, who hasn't read all the lore and doesn't know all the lore going into the Lord of the Rings, who only knew of the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings going into the movies and all those things, to me this series is great, and I like the buildup of it, and it feels very much done in the same way, in the same vein of the Lord of the Rings movies. It feels like it just feels right. It feels right. It feels like it should be. I had a couple surprises, and I want to be careful not to give away. I didn't realize Kathleen was a couple episodes behind. Okay, good then.
I know how the story ends.
Okay, well,
we know Galadriel and Elrond are alive.
Yes, but I was surprised at the last episode. I did not realize that Halbrand was going to be a bad guy. I thought he was going to be, what led up to Aragorn.
He looks a lot like Aragorn,
right? And that's the thing, So I don't know if I need a more of a nerdier person, John Ross, to look up and find out if there's a tie between Aragorn and
so there
Sauron.
Isn't.
Huh?
There is not. I don't remember, but I think my brother told me he was like, no, they're not the same, or something like that. Or
well, I didn't think they would be, but or related in any way. But man, the form and the shape that Sauron is taking right there in this series, he looks like he's like a cousin or an uncle to Aragorn, leading up into the future.
Ow. And
so it's kind of a cool thing that we have the opportunity to look at that and see. And I agree with John. I very much appreciate what they've done and how they've led into this. It's been a really cool episode thus far. And hey, we have a surprise in the waiting room.
What?
He's here. All right, we're gonna bring him in.
Uncle, Hey everyone, how are we doing? Please accept my apologies. Oh my God, I've had internet problems all day.
Not a problem.
I've been living in the world of everything not working.
That's okay. We've been stalling politely until you got here. So it's
Oh
good.
my God, thank you guys so much. I love the names, Tim, Blade, and Kathleen. Do you realize there is a Trinity movie in all of this? I'm just waiting for Wesley Snipes to show up. I could be Wesley Snipes. I could just say I'm going for my sword.
There you go. Well, hey, thanks for coming, Fergel. Glad to have you here. Glad you could make it.
Absolutely.
Before we go on to any other topics real quick, why don't you take a moment to tell everybody about Gotham Night Comics and why they should be checking out your store?
Oh, well, first off, thank you guys. I loved what you guys, I mean, your daughter that I spoke with at the Monroe Pop Fest was amazing. So I just really, and I've been checking out your podcast as you go, but, you know, Gotham Night Comics was born out of this idea that having worked in banking and finance for 23 years and having worked through the pandemic and loving comics since I was 11 years old, I feel like that's the one industry, especially as the world continues to become about superheroes and about what that looks like. And, you know, everyone's going through these different problems, that comic book experiences haven't changed. And what I mean by that is that a vast majority of stores end up closing because they hate what they do, or they're overstocked in too much inventory, they don't bring enough kid readers in, and oftentimes the experiences tend to be slightly underwhelming. The service standard, which I think you've got to, comics are not an item that need, you know, they're not really, you don't need them like groceries. So there are things that you got to kind of help people to find their nerd. And I feel like all the events after the pandemic, everything that come together really put God in my head and gave me an opportunity to build this dream, this store. And it's really born out of this mission to reimagine how we comic shop, reimagine how we experience that. And it's really just, it's more than one thing. We're not, you know, we're gonna create the only franchise comic opportunity, because I don't think there's one that exists. I'm working with partners on that. We're gonna build side businesses and create dashboards, analytics that help stores to better order, because we know that's a nightmare, and we know that's another huge nightmare. And my goal is to, you know, kind of earn a customer service experience that is second to none. And I'm very proud of the fact that 160 days in, we're the highest rated comic store in Southeast Michigan at this point. From a rating standpoint, almost 100 5-star reviews.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. So what drove your interest in comics, Fergel? What for you is like, what was the thing that said, man, I want to do a comic store? What made that?
So, you know, having, you know, when you work these stressful roles, and having been in it all my life, and ever since I was a kid, Batman was always a guy, you know, going through some rough times as a kid, Batman showed me a role model, and that starts my pet tragedy to purpose story. But for me, building this comic store, what drove that was, you know, having worked in this financial sector, and you're only as good as last week, you're only as good as last month, you're only as good as last day. And when the opportunity came and they decided that I was only as good as last quarter, and they wanted to move my role and get my family to pick up a move again, my wife and I just said enough. And we just said, it's time to do something. You know, we're of the mindset, it sounds rather dumb, but we'd rather die on our feet than live on our knees. And so for us, it's really just about creating this opportunity. I think we hit the right button at the right time. And we just had Scott Rosema in the store this weekend. It's amazing.
Nice.
We're doing drive-ins. We've got Trick or Read next weekend, a new drive-in. Our last drive-in, Black Panther, we're going to show that movie on a 20-foot screen. We've just really found that right experience in the right place. And I think, you know, like I said, the comic experience just needs to be changed. We need more kids in here. We need to get more reading. We need to expand our base. Otherwise, the hobbies we love won't be here in 10 years.
I agree. Love that. And I've been looking through your website today, and I'm looking through your collectibles, and there's a bunch of Funkos in there that I need to get on the shelves behind me.
Away from the Funkos.
Funkos are us. We focus a lot. We have all the good stuff, but we also put a little area which I like to call our rare and vaulted. So one of the things I found when I built it, because I was never a huge Funko guy, but boys, they're calling for it. And what I think people get excited about is being able to find Funkos you can't find anymore. The ones that are off the shelves, the ones that are a couple years back. Folks go berserk for stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just even a couple of the ones that are in here. I'm going, I need that one. It's almost like a need it, got it, want it, need
Well,
it, got
that
it.
one you're passing over, that Jabba the Hutt's actually signed by the original voice of Jabba the Hutt, right next to Superman in that shelf. That's another thing we focus on, very unusual signed Funkos. So I just got a Lou Ferrigno signed Hulk, where it says Puny God. It's a comic moment from the original Avengers. That is a original Howie Hammerman signed Jabba the Hutt. Obviously, the guy who voiced him. I've got Funko signed by Jake Johnson, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow. And my favorite is Lee Thompson from Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
You gotta love Howard the Duck.
Mhm.
Oh, I do. It's so bad. It's awesome.
It is. And we focus on those unusual items. We offer, I can proudly say we have about 6 or 7 items in our store that just don't exist in any store in Michigan. Because I went deeper, I went further, I reached out to a lot of small suppliers. So I'm highlighting everybody in this industry. I want to put the power back in the store owner's hands and make it fun and amazing and give people an opportunity to grow this business across the country. Because I think we need more of these stores.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That
I
totally
love it.
answers our next question, which was, what is different about your store? And definitely it is different. You have a lot of the unique items. And
We're brand. We're brand first, a store second. We're a concept first and a store second. That's how we drive it. So our goal is to operate, if I told you my wish and my goal and what's written on my wall is in the next 2 years or less, I will win a Walt Eisner Spirit of the Retailer Award. Right now in Michigan, only Vault of Midnight has that claim. There have only been 30 awards given in the history of that award. And it's a San Diego Comic-Con top of the line award. We're going to win that.
Nice. That's an awesome goal to have.
Yeah. Yes. And it's fun. I mean, I get to say to people every day, I own a comic store. Just like you guys get to say, I do a comic podcast.
Yeah, we take great pride in being nerds.
After the pandemic, we found that, and I think my research told me that everybody found their nerd. I get so many people in that quietly tell me they love this, and these are judges, these are police officers, people who have it. I get more customers in the store who say they haven't been in the store in 5 or 10 years. I'm so proud of that fact that we have created a place that drives people back, because we know the nerds. It didn't matter whether you thought you were a nerd or you weren't. 2 years in your house made you a nerd. I mean, Carol Baskin came out of that, right? Squid Game came out of that.
Tim and I got to interview Carol Baskin.
We've interviewed Carol.
Really?
You did.
I mean, there it is, right? I mean, how did she get famous if not for prison?
Right. For saying things on people's podcasts, like, you can't put somebody in with a tiger; they'll eat them, bones and all.
Yes, they will. Yes. Although I might be able to pull it off, if I get my right vibranium suit in play, I might be able to do that, or I'll do an old school Crocodile Dundee. Try to get them to lay down with me. That's my plan. I keep telling my wife when we run across a wild animal, that's my plan. I'm going to put the hat on and try to do the finger thing and see if I can get them to sit.
Nice.
So, talking about becoming a nerd during the pandemic, finding your inner nerd, let's talk favorites. So, DC or Marvel?
Well, I mean, my store might tell you I'm a huge DC fan. Obviously, I just think the work that DC does in general on their character arcs are just amazing. I think, the great writers pour into DC. The covers are amazing. The stories have gotten a lot more, but Marvel's just churning them out. I just went and saw Black Adam. I love the movie, but I can't give it more than a B-. I can't be honest with myself and say it's more than a B-. It continues to tell me there's properties that are not being maximized. I mean, Kevin Feige might be that machine. He might actually be that little robot somewhere in the back at this point. But Marvel has done a great job. So I think Marvel's got some great character stories. But DC is my personal favorite.
Understood.
Right. Star Trek or Star Wars?
So I grew up on Star Trek. If we started talking Gene Roddenberry, we'd have this conversation for about 5 hours. But Star Wars. I mean, again, I just think that I was like crazed on Kenobi, and Episode 6 made me just happy. Just happy.
And then there's Andromeda.
Yes, agreed.
Fantastic. All right, last one. Doctor Who or Red Dwarf?
Well, obviously we've got the 14th Doctor out, so Doctor Who. My mom is Irish and I'm African, so I like to say I was Barack Obama before he made it cool. I truly am an Irish African gentleman. So, he might have made it slick out there, but I was doing it years before he was. So she used to love Doctor Who and love everything British and everything English and Irish, and we grew up on this stuff. So it's like I didn't have a choice. I had to watch it.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Did
And
you
John raises a
see-
very good point here that DC has great comic storylines, wonderful animation, but their live action films tend to leave something to be desired.
Agreed.
Hard agree on that one.
Did you see the 13th Doctor Regeneration spoiler?
No, so what it turned out was that since I owned a business, I actually have less time than I did before I had a regular job. So
Jodie Whittaker's version of the Doctor, the 13th Doctor, is done. And they are building into the 60th anniversary special.
Wow. Okay.
So Jodie Whittaker regenerates from herself back to David Tennant.
Okay, that'll be worth watching. I'll have to put that on the DVR for later time. So I don't know if you guys got kids at home. I've got a 14-year-old and I've got a wife, and my 14-year-old, like, I literally wish I could just call my mom and apologize for the ages of 14 through 18, because I realize now exactly what I did and what I'm paying for now as a father.
It doesn't get any easier as your children get into their 20s. Ask me how I know.
Oh yeah, no. My mom raised 5 boys. I don't know how she did it.
No.
I am on the young end of this one, and I'm still doing the, oh, good Lord, I'm not going to survive.
Yeah, no. You'll realize quickly when you have your first child that you'll call your mom or dad up and say, listen, I was wrong. You were right. What do I need to do? Take over, please.
My
Exactly.
daughter is 4.
Your daughter's 4?
She's 4. I always thought I wanted a big family. I always thought I wanted multiple kids. My mom used to tell me that it didn't matter if I was number 1 or number 4. I was going to be the last one. And I'm like, oh, that's so mean. And then I met my daughter, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes. Neil Patrick Harris as the villain. Neil Patrick Harris does every role good. First off, MPH is, I wish we could just get MPH to Michigan. Can we get MPH in Congress? Can we pull something off like that? Get him on top of somewhere, make him Speaker of the House or something? MPH would run it.
I'd have such a hard time not seeing him as Barney Stinson giving a speech up there. It just, I love the man, and I think he's fantastic in so very many ways. But I would be like, and I would just wait for him at the end of every speech to be like, challenge accepted.
Absolutely. I love by the way, Tim, I love your room. I love some of these Funkos you have back there. And I love your room, Blade, because I can see that is your daughter's room or an office or
It's my mom's room.
Nice. Which is good, because listen, I'm married for 20 years. There's a she-sack in this house. Right now we're in my office, but there's a she-sack in my house. I know that. And I like your room too, Kathleen. This is very chill. This is a chill room.
It is. I am literally right next to my 3-inch memory foam bed, and I can just fall over when I'm done.
All right, so Fergel, tell everybody where they can find out more about Gotham Night Comics.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am known as your prodigious proprietor of everything awesome. So you can always check us out on Facebook at Get Your Nerd On at Gotham Night Comics. You can also just search us by Gotham Night Comics. We're out of Livonia. We're at 37661 5 Mile Road in Livonia, 48154. I'll give the number out there. It's 770-294-7736. I give my cell because you can call me direct. We've also got a website, www.comicbooklivonia.com. I don't know how that came that way. I got one of those little firms to kind of work it out for me. We're going to move that over to Gotham Night Comics here pretty soon, but you can check us out. We are building our subscriber list, and we are building our e-commerce catalog now. And I will make a quick mention, over the winter, we will be doing an event every 2 weeks, twice a month, called Coco and Comics, like our version of Artist Alley, where we be bringing in local Michigan talent, amazing talent in Michigan, to do signings, artist signings, special premieres, exclusives, things like that. We'll be doing that through the winter. I also would like to pull off maybe a superhero ice sculpture contest. So we're going to really focus on making some big things in this community happen.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, we've got about let's see, we got about 10 minutes left in our episode here tonight that we're going to do. So just very briefly, let's touch on the. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, Fergel, but there's a new show on Amazon. Came out just a couple days ago, this past Friday, called The Peripheral, and we were very fortunate to have one of the stars of the show join us, and we put out that episode on Friday as well.
Wow.
So Nick, I know that you've watched it. I've watched it. Kathleen, have you had a chance yet?
I have not yet, unfortunately.
Okay, Nick, go ahead and tell what are your thoughts on The Peripheral so far?
So it really drew me in right off the bat, first episode.
Yeah.
I like the premise of it. And then as soon as I'm like, oh, this is cool. I know exactly where this is going. Second episode.
You don't.
And I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And
yeah, the show definitely zigged where I thought it was going to zag.
Yeah. And I was like, I knew the one thing, but they added one more thing. And I was like, that's it.
So I think I told you this in our chat earlier that in the trailer, as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is Minority Report meets Ready Player One. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I went into it thinking I know exactly what's going to go on in this show. I was wrong. I was so very wrong. It is way better than I anticipated it being. Now, if you have young ones at home and you're worried about language, there is some adult language in this show. So that is to be noted. It's rated for ages 16 and up. And so there is some language in the show. So just be aware of that. But it has, like I said, the acting, the casting of the show is fantastic. It zigs when you think it's going to zag. It's through 2 episodes. I'm like, yep, okay, where's episode 3? Let's do this. Come on. So I'm very excited to see where else this goes.
That sounds, I happen to be glancing at the show and I had seen the preview. I remember I had seen the preview, but wow, that looks, I did see Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was like, someone said, go watch this movie because it's amazing. And I was like, and then I was blown away. And this show seems like it's striking that same kind of balance. Would you say it's kind of in that, kind of some of that vein a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think that I think it's one of those things where, everybody was kind of blowing it up beforehand, like, hey, this is going to be the next great thing. Go watch this. And I'm always very skeptical with those type of things. I saw the trailer and I was still kind of skeptical about it. We had our guest on from this Friday's past episode. And I was like, man, here it is. This is great. All this kind of stuff. And I was still a little skeptical going into it, but I've watched the first 2 episodes. I am very much in excitement and anticipation of episode 3.
Oh, wow. Now I'm going to have to go watch. Now it's going to have to get on the TV behind me. I'm going to have to put this thing on while I keep knocking out work tonight. That's awesome. Yeah, and it's back for the show. So that's phenomenal. So I always love a great and unique story arc. So there's a lot of good movies coming out in general.
Oh yeah. It's a great story. And there's a lot of really well-written characters in this and how they're developed so far. I very much appreciated that. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. And
we try.
May I ask, what star did you guys have on?
Well, Nick, go ahead.
Well, speaking of the Peripheral, last Friday our guest was Louis Hertham, who plays Corbell Pickett in the new show.
Oh, wow.
So he stopped by to talk about his new show and a lot more.
Here's a preview.
Hi, this is Louis Hertham. Welcome to the FSF Podcast.
Your home for the all nerdy, no dirty interviews with people in our sci-fi and pop culture world. So that's Louis Hertham. He's in all 8 episodes of.
That's cool. And I see that you have the same internet that I have, the same provider of internet and wonderful services that I have, and it's the same one that you may all have. The one we want to go out and just give it one of those too, just a little.
Occasionally.
Not me.
Blade, it's just because your name is Blade. That's why you have very awesome internet. I wish I was named Blade. I'm named Fergel, so you can understand that nothing ever works well here.
It's actually a nickname that was given to me by
Hal Rail.
Hal Rail. He also did the Hal robot from 2001: Space Odyssey.
And he calls you Blade?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning of the interview, he's like, you know what? I'm going to call you Blade.
That's so. Now it's stuck, and you're dubbed that way. I'm gonna tell my wife. So I'll tell you a funny story before you guys let me go. So being named Fergel, as I said, I'm Irish and African. It's a very old Irish name. And so I have 5 brothers. They're all named Jeffrey, Jonathan, Timothy, and Stephen. You might say, well, how does this guy named Fergel? Well, I'm named by my grandmother because I'm the only one actually born in Europe and moved over to the U.S. when I was but a wee bon, a little fella. But
Nice.
being named Fergel has its challenges, and one of those challenges was a musician by the name of Fergie and a song called Fergalicious. And for about 2 years there, that song, whether I wanted to or not, was the second only way. And it actually got to a point where when someone couldn't remember my name, I'd be like, Fergalicious. And then they would get it. And you would be like, oh my God, have I debased myself enough? But everyone used to say that. And it got to the point where I had to say, well, yes, I'm not delicious though, but Fergalicious is fine.
There you go. Go ahead and remind everybody about where they can find that episode, Nick.
Oh, yeah. You can still find that episode of the FSF PopCast on our YouTube channel and your favorite audio podcast providers.
And remember that your subscription to our YouTube channel is a major help. So please don't forget to click the like and subscribe as you watch the videos. And now Fergalicious is stuck in my head. Anyway.
It is. Just like Fergal is stuck in your head. It'll roll in there for about 6 hours before it finds its way out.
Other song, I had the other song stuck in my head. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel.
That's the second time tonight you've sung, Nick. You're feeling very musical.
Oh,
Yes, it was John's idea.
Probably.
When in doubt, blame John.
We can blame John. He can't defend himself.
All right.
That's awesome.
Our upcoming guest this Friday is one of the people behind the most in-depth Star Wars websites existing.
Hi, this is Jordan from Wikipedia, and you're listening to the FSF PopCast.
The show where we have been known to talk about extremely important world events, just not the events of this world. So we're excited to have Jordan from Wikipedia joining us this upcoming Friday. That episode will be coming out. We talk about the website, how the website is run. We talk about Star Wars. We talk about how he got into Star Wars. Then we talk about even more Star Wars and a whole bunch of stuff. Jordan's a really cool guy, and we very much enjoyed him stopping by. So tune in this Friday morning. That'll be out. You can watch it on our YouTube channel. You can, of course, listen to it on your favorite audio podcast provider. And if you don't have a chance to before then, you can also check us out every Saturday morning on realwiseradio.com at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can also check that out on their iOS app. You'll have a chance to listen there. So, that's coming up this Friday. And no, John, we really don't need to make one.
Remember, Fergalicious is always available for side acts. I will come in there and say that. It'll only cost you a small fee, but I'll definitely Fergalicious.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, hey, that's going to conclude us for the FSF PopCast tonight.
Thank you guys for letting me be on here, by the way.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for coming.
And we're gonna go into our goodbyes. Don't leave before we get a chance to say goodbye after the end credits here.
Absolutely.
Okay. And guys, remember to click the like and subscribe button. Help us continue to grow. Help us to get some really cool guests. Oh, and speaking of really cool guests, because I almost forgot about this, and there was something else that I wanted to bring up. Thursday, and if Kathleen doesn't shriek, cry, and scream when I do this, I'll be very, very surprised because I think she's about to wet herself anyway. We have a very, very cool guest coming Thursday. We're going to do an interview with. We'll get that edited out there, and on our FSF podcast podcast page, we will have an opportunity for you to ask a question of the one, the only man, Graham McTavish, Dwalin from the Hobbit trilogies. He's been in The Witcher.
Mackenzie!
That's a guest on your show?
He is
Yes.
this week.
Oh, I just want to come in and let him know who I am and say, Fergel, I'm Fergel Patrick Dowd. And just really throw an Irish piece to that. I might have to jump on there. That guy looks cool. He looks like how I want to look when I get older. He seems to wear it very well.
He's according to Kathleen, he's a good-looking man. And according to me, he's a good-looking man. So
Even with the dwarf makeup.
yeah, even in the
Right.
dwarf makeup, I'm still like, yeah, he's a good-looking
Well, okay,
dude.
so he's got a role in the Netflix series The Witcher. He's also got a role in HBO's House of the Dragon. That man looks so good in a full suit of armor. Like, it is scary. It is intimidating. It is beautiful.
He's
And I
also
am
in.
so excited for Thursday.
Wow, that's excitement.
Yeah, she is very excited about it. So yeah, so we have Graham McTavish coming this week. We'll have a spot for you guys. If you have questions you'd like us to ask of Graham for you, you'll find that up on the FSF PopCast page on Facebook here shortly, and you guys will have an opportunity to check that out and put your questions in, and then we'll see if we can get a couple of those in front of Graham this upcoming Thursday. We're excited to have some time with him. So anyway, that is going to conclude us. That is going to end the show. And we want to thank everybody for stopping by this time on the FSF Podcast Live Edition. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF Podcast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSF Popcast. Or go to www.fsfpopcast.com and click on the contact link. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the episode.